All right, so we have Heidi and Addie here with us today. So this is our first guest speaker day of the semester. You will be asked to write a reflection. So as soon as you leave here, I don't want you to like actively be working on the assignment while they're talking, but once you leave here, I will open a 1-paragraph reflection. You have to tell me who they are, what they do, something interesting that they talked about. I want you to be able to tell me how many internship credits you need for your specific major, when to start working on them, any of those different things. So 1 paragraph, 45 sentences. It will be due on Tuesday of next week. So that's the plan. We will wait and review exams on Tuesday as well, to start a class. Okay, so they are giving their time to be with you guys, so please be attentive. They never work. They never work. I mean, I can try.
No, don't worry about it. Okay, I was gonna say, okay.
That's been there. I've been here.
All right. Good morning. Good morning. I'm Heidi Larson at the Career Center, and Addie spends most of her time now over in the student engagement kind of pop shop area. She does help us out in the Career Center as well, but she will be done with her GA duties in the Career Center in May. So she'll be full time over there. Where's the Career Center at? You know, library. Yes. Yep. You enter that little side door across the printing. Take a look. They're right there. And Lexi, mine's on that end of the hall, and you'll travel to the other end of the hall. You'll find Lexi there. Also, you probably have seen Lexi over at the registrar. She's part of the team the registrar, as well as Lexi takes care of all the study abroad on campus. Like I said, the ability to bring that. So if that's something you're interested in, those are things you have to start sooner than later. So visit with her and just see what options may be for you. So we're going to talk about some different things. I just want to talk about our services that we provide. We provide career planning assistance, finding and applying for internships, part-time jobs, full-time jobs. If you just want a job while you're in college. We're going to talk about internships more in depth at the end of this. Also, when you graduate, we help you apply to graduate school, full-time jobs, choosing a major. We do practice. Yesterday, I did a practice interview for a student going to graduate school. Finding job shadowing. If you're not sure, maybe you want to go into healthcare, but I'm not really sure what area. We'll do our best to help you. I will tell you, with the pandemic right now, this has become more challenging. Prior to the pandemic, there was no problem. We could get you anywhere, but we still will do our best to try and connect you. Resumes, cover letters. Lexi does all the CLEP testing, so if there's a gen ed that you feel really confident in, you can go test out of it and get the credit. So she has information about that. I mentioned study abroad and internships. So yeah, so those are a wide array. We also connect with our alumni, and we also have a mentor program. So if you think you would like to have a mentor that's an alumni of ours to help you along the way and to help you with networking and those kinds of things, come see us. It's a new program, and we're slowly rolling it out. We did a pilot last year, about 10 students or so, and it worked out really, really well. And so that is that. So today, one of the things I'm going to spend some time talking about, and I'll tell you why. So we have a lot of students that come as freshmen and even sophomores that are heading down exercise science pathway. And then we have a lot of them that end up changing majors. So I'm going to talk a little bit, so you're going to wonder, why am I talking about changing majors when you're in a kinesiology class, right? That's why. So we're going to talk a little bit about ways to think about other career paths, as well as within exercise science. There's a wide variety of things you can do with that major. And physical education, health and fitness administration, it's pretty broad. And so some of these tips will also just maybe staying within your major, help you kind of start narrowing down your path. How many pre-PT do we have in here? OT? How many want to do personal training? Education? How many are just a little bit unsure? That's okay to raise your hand. Okay, good. All right. So we're gonna talk a little bit about majors. Undecided, you can kind of flip through this, there's some other things that drop down. Undecided or undeclared, about 50% entering college students are undecided. Even if they have a declared major, they're still undecided, right? It's okay to change your major. Many students do. You can see more than half change their major. So very common, because you don't know what you don't know, right? You start taking some classes and you start finding out like, oh, I didn't know that this major entailed this or that. I didn't know in exercise science. There's a real emphasis on the science. So, I like the exercise piece, but the science piece, So there's a lot of things you find out once you take these majors. I didn't think I liked accounting, but when I took that accounting one for my health and fitness, I really I can catch on to accounting really easily. So there's lots of things you find out about yourself as you take classes. So it's really important to take classes and it's okay to even take classes outside of your major just to get a feel. Sometimes students will come in and just not really sure, maybe haven't narrowed down to 2 or 3. That next semester, we literally put them in 2 to 3 majors. Like try the classes out. You don't know what you don't know. So just try them out and see. And usually you start to figure out some of the problems with the pre-professionals like pre-chiropractic, pre-OT, PT, is that, when you're taking Bio 150 for Gen Chem, it's really hard to see what you're going to be doing. It's not the classes that you can readily apply. And so sometimes it's a little frustrating with those classes and you kind of just have to get through them. So once you get into your biomechanics and your anatomy, some of those start to, connect a little bit more. And I forgot to talk a little bit about my background. So I have a few degrees under my belt. I have a Bachelor of Science in Biology, human biology. I have a Doctor of Chiropractic. I was a chiropractor for 24 years. I have an MBA, Master of Business Administration, and a few years ago I finished a PhD in Education and Institutional Analysis. So I have a wide variety of degrees, as well as in my life I've been involved in a lot of different areas, served in a lot of different boards, helped out with education since about 2002. So I have a wide variety of experiences to help you on your way as well. So, and Addie is a biology degree. And so now Addie, tell them why I chose you for a graduate assistant. Tell me about your tests you've had.
Yeah, so as science majors, we have to develop a lot of critical thinking skills. So my field where I work in right now has really nothing to do with biology, but the skills you've gained from these courses really apply to any career in your life.
Did you have a lot of multiple choice tests?
Absolutely not.
They were all
Biology,
they were all
I do not
explained.
believe in that. Yeah.
They were all explained. So I do tease her a little bit. I said, yep, I picked you because you're a biology major. You didn't have multiple choice tests. So that's why I picked her as a graduate assistant. And you're just about done with your master's, right?
Yep.
In
This
May.
summer.
Yep. So
Yep.
she'll do her master with MAL program. So. And Addie can also help you with the same things as so can Lexi. So I just want to make sure that we're all cross-trained to help you with everything. Lexi and Addie have most of the information for the internships. I have kind of a final say for them, final check of approval. So, but otherwise they can still help you. Okay. Talking about that, half of college, imagine that, Addie, 50% of college graduates pursue careers that are not related to their major. Interesting, isn't it? Here, and then we have the good news and the bad news for you. What do you want first? The bad news, some of the jobs we're preparing you for won't exist in 20 years. Who wants the good news now? Good news. All right. I like participation. Thank you. So Coach Mr. In my class. That's good. Good news is with these critical thinking skills that we're talking about, with our Journey to Success co-curriculum here, you will be able to have those skills to adapt to the jobs that aren't created, and you will be able to get into those jobs easily. So that's the good news and the bad news. But yes, there are jobs now that will not be here in 20 years, and there are jobs in 20 years that we have no idea what they're going to do. But we are here to help. Now, even when you graduate, I help alumni. Last week I helped one of our alumni. So we can help our alumni find jobs, change careers, those kinds of things. So some of the things you can do for choosing major, are you having them do the focus 2 assignment? Is that,
I was gonna talk to you about that.
Yeah.
Are you doing it in Journey?
yes, okay, everybody's doing it now, so that's a good change, so.
Then we'll probably,
Yeah, okay, so who did focus 2 in their UJ Foundations class? Do you remember that career thing about week 7? Yep, okay, good. You can go back and look at that. You can also retake that. Like if you wanna like, let's say like, okay, that was just an assignment, so I had to like look at it done because it was due at 11:55 PM on Sunday night, right? Go back and redo it and you can, and sometimes when students do it as a freshman versus when they do it as a junior, you have a better idea what your interests are when you're a junior versus a freshman. So you'll be able to better answer the questions and it'll be just a little bit more focused on you as well. So my office pays for that. So it's free to all of you to use. So that we pay a yearly subscription to that for our students to use. Yes,
So would we just come and get that access code?
you can even go on the UJ webpage and type in focus 2 and it'll come up and the access code will be there. And the reason that is you can't do it without a UJ email. So that's how it's secure. So yeah, you'll have to fill out an account and create their security questions, those kinds of things. But yep. And if you have any problems with it, let me know. I can send you some instructions too. So take courses in different areas. We talked about that. Also, getting involved. Are there some things you got involved with that you learned more about or things you were interested in? What are some of the things that you did? I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, let me think. Well, I did extracurriculars.
Yep.
And then when I finished my requirements for my biology degree, I actually took some courses here in this department. And I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Like I took nutrition, which wasn't required. I took motor development skills and yeah, I learned that I really like working with people. That's kind of what I value more than pursuing like a medical degree.
And you worked at track too.
Yeah.
Again,
Yep.
you have customer service, right?
Became a group fitness instructor,
Group fitness
learned I love
instructor,
that stuff.
So when you do those extra things, you start really learning more about yourself. You learn that you really liked working with people instead of a lab, with goggles and suits and staying away from people. But yeah, so you do learn a lot more about yourself by getting involved. You have an exercise science club here on campus. We have 34, 37 different clubs, something like that. Pick one, get involved. You don't have to be president of the club if your time is limited, but just get involved and learn more. Volunteering, plenty of opportunity to volunteer on our campus too, so do that. And then students that study abroad, they sort of come back a different person. The experiences that they have and the things that they see and get involved with, it's a very fast track way to learn more about yourself as well. The focus 2, these are the 5 things that test. There is the code right there if anyone wants to take a picture of it or write it down. So, but the ones that you really want to, so it's five quizzes, and then you don't want to think about it too long. You want to like gut reaction answer. So you have to like choose a star, like least likely, most likely. And if you're only going to do a few of them, make sure you do the personality, values, and work interests. Those are the 3 that I would really focus on. Skills you can learn, and sometimes our leisure changes. So those, if you have to choose, but you want to do more, you want to do several of them, because when you get the report, it'll say these jobs match the 5 areas. And don't focus on the jobs so much, focus on the majors. The science keeps coming up, or education keeps coming up. That's what I tell students to focus. Jobs, remember, jobs will come and go, right? But focus on what majors keep coming up repeatedly. Okay, there is actually research out there that says if you do career planning, you will be on a much better path, and you will have better retention, and you will have more likely, you'll graduate soon. So getting active in your career planning is really important. Meeting with your advisor is really important. That's why when UJ Foundations, we require you to meet with your advisor twice, right? Because it's really important to make sure you're on the right path. All right, so identify your interests. We talked about that. Focus 2, taking extra classes, volunteering, all those things. And then you start exploring some occupations that match. And job shadowing is one way, interning. We have students that will intern. And sometimes the favorite part I'd like to read in the report is, I really thought this is what I wanted to do. But after spending 40 hours a week all summer doing this or observing this, this is definitely not what I want to do. Now, isn't that a good thing to find out when you're a junior versus graduating and going to grad school and then finding out after you have that much more investment, right? Sometimes we have students that student teach, get to that student teaching part, and they kind of panic because like, this is not really what I thought it was going to be. Once you're in that classroom every day, no problem. We have lots of education majors doing a lot of different things. And so education majors are very, very valuable. And major in education is very valuable to a lot of companies because you learn how to connect with people and a lot of different ways. And so they will hire you for a lot of different jobs. Okay. So there are some career myths out there. There's one perfect job or career major for you. So I've had a few, right? So sometimes it's a combination. Sometimes your master's degree or your graduate degree actually defines you. Like you just get this basic undergraduate major or something. And then it's really that next step that really defines your career. Your career choices are lifelong decisions. No, people change jobs on average about 7 times. Liberal arts, humanities, sciences are not marketable. They're very marketable. Addie not only has had this job, but many people wanted to hire her. So I went to a meeting in Fargo I'm on the Southeast Education Cooperative board and cover Southeast North Dakota. I get there and I said, yep, my graduate assistant was hired. And they said, is that Addie? We want to hire her. Like, really? I drive to Fargo and people want to hire her. So science, all those majors are very, very marketable. So we want to make sure that you realize that. And don't base, people are like, oh, go into this major right now because there's such a shortage. Well, do shortages come and go? And jobs, yes, shortages come and go. Yeah. So don't choose a major just based on the current something. So you have to enjoy what you do. Make sure you do that. So there are some things you want to consider. You have to really understand what you want out of your work-life balance. Some jobs don't have a great work-life balance, right? They have higher pay typically, but the work-life balance is not there. So you really have to really know like where you want to live, how much you want to work, where, if you like to hike in the mountains, you should live by the mountains, So think about some of those things, think about what jobs might be available on the Front Range, some mountains, those kinds of things. Oh yeah, this is courtesy of Mike Woodley. This is his. Yeah, this is. Oh, go back to it. You have to see out of it and then play. We'll see if this plays. So this is the disclaimer. I think the arts are great, and if someone wants to major in arts, that's not what this is about. It's a Mike Woodley something.
So finally figuring out the major.
Oh, yeah?
Ceramics. Nice. It's not even so much a major, it's more like a light calling. Like a Zen thing. Yeah, it's just like some meat, the wheels, the water, the clay. People really need ceramics. Badly. I was in a museum like not too long ago, you know what it's dealing with? Ceramics. I'm like a poet with earth. Right, the earth poet. An earth poet. Cool, man. I want to make plates. I want to make mugs. Yeah, man, you should make those mugs. Make those mugs, man. Do it. I will. Oh, dude. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, spiders are nice.
Just keep out of it. So that was Mike, courtesy of Mike Woodley. He also helps students choose majors also. Thank you. So you want, when you choose a major, again, depending on where you want to live, what you want to do, your work-life balance, not all jobs are in all areas. So if you're going to make ceramics, for example, you might have to live in a certain area where there's an art museum or something. So you want to think about just where you want to go, what you want to do, where you want to live. So we have lots of support here for you. Your advisors, your department chairs, the registrar's office, our office, even Emily in Student Success does a little bit of helping students get on the right path. But ultimately, it's up to you. I mean, you know, you're an adult now and you have to make, these are your decisions. We want to support you as much as we can, but we can't make the decision for you. You have to make the decision. We want to give you resources, different opportunities, but you have to, it's your responsibility, and your plan of study is your responsibility. So make sure you take ownership of that as well. Especially in this major too, your advisors have a lot of advisees. So it's really important to be prepared when you come in for your advisor meetings and have extra classes, because sometimes classes are full right now. And so have alternates so your advisor can kind of check off on. Okay. We talked about new occupations and also higher levels of skills. One thing University of Jamestown is, and you're the first class I'm talking to about this, really, but there's also a lot of, so you get this broad major, but there's also a lot of skills along the way that employers are looking for, graduate schools are looking for. And so University of Jamestown has started a certificate program. And when I say program, I mean multiple different types of certificates. So keep an eye out for those. If any of those sound interesting for you, some of them can be, majority of them are for course credit. So you could take that certificate credit and apply it towards your major. I don't think it can count. I'm not sure about this actually. I think it counts part of your like 12 full time. So it'd be in addition to that, but there's a lot of great skills that can be gained by these short-term certificate programs. And like I said, they are credit bearing, so it can go, you know, towards your major. So think about that. And they just started them, but I would say 6 months, 8 months, a year from now, there's going to be a whole lot more of them. And there's probably 2 or 3 of them that you would look at and go, God, you know, that might really help me to have that certificate. And then you can put that on your resume.
We have the 3 here. We have the personal training, health coaching, and
Yeah.
group fitness instructor.
Okay. In the department certificate, yep. And then we have the ones out of Phoenix too. Those are the ones. Yep. So yes, and those are all great certificates also, which are just part of your coursework, which can be part of your 12 credits. Whereas, yeah. So there's these other ones that are in addition to that. So be proactive in your career. And the next one. The most important thing though is stay the course. I will say some students apply to University of Jamestown, come to student orientation, go all the way through their 4 years, knowing exactly what they want to do. Do you know some people like that? Like they just laser focus. This is what I'm going to do, right? That happens. But I would say the majority of the students walk in and go, I'm kind of interested in this and that. I'm kind of interested in a lot of things. And you kind of, by your sophomore year, kind of go down to kind of, and you walk across that stage and go, yeah, I think this is what I want to do. That would probably be more of a majority. But you know what the really important thing is? What's the important thing? Even if they're unsure. What's the important thing? You're walking across that stage, graduating. Exactly. And that is huge. Because if you look at the studies for income, your lifetime income with a 4-year degree versus not a 4-year degree is dramatically different. Staying the course, you know, like I said, sometimes you even work for 2 years and then you kind of figure it out and you get a master's degree or something, you know, it defines you. But it's okay to like not be like really laser focused. I would say it's the majority that is that way versus, and sometimes like even if you're kind of like not sure, it's really easy to focus on your friends that are like so focused and like, gosh, I wish I was focused like that. And it seems like there's nobody else except for you that doesn't know for sure what they want to do. So that's not true. So use the resources here, let us help you, and things will work out. Okay, now we're going to talk, she's going to ask you questions on this internship thing, so pay attention to this part. Internships for academic credit. Okay, so who is exercise science? Raise your hand. Okay, you need, so I have a range up there for a reason. Right now, it's currently 6 credits. There's some things in the works to lower that to 4 credits. So Each credit is about 40 hours of work, and there's coursework that you have to do. All right, health and fitness, HFA. Do we have any HFA here? All right, good. Oh, good. Yeah, great. 2 credits. And that's still 2, right? They're gonna
Yep,
keep
that's
that at
still
2. They're gonna keep that at 2. All right. Like I said, your department always keeps revising their curriculum to keep up with current trends and standards, and that's some of the things that they're working on right now. Now, physical education, non-teaching. Do we have any of those? Non-teaching. Okay. This is new. You will be encouraged to do those 2 credits. So, yeah, and we have I think we have quite a few students this semester and last semester doing this. So, and this is just a general, E350 is an experiential education course code. And so it's any kind of internship kind of experience that we can apply to your major. So. Okay, how to find an internship. We have some things listed on UJ. So you go to my UJ, log in. If you get down to the bottom, there's job opportunities. There's probably 30, 40 things listed there every day. Job shadowing can also be improved. So for our pre-PT students, for example, you're not a PT, so you can't do PT work, right? It's against the law. You aren't not legally do it. So, but we will those hours that we allow you to job shadow. Now, it gets a little complicated when you get into medical facilities. Right now, actually, I'm just working with people on campus that deal with the nursing department, the PT department. There's contracts that we have with healthcare facilities, and we have to make sure that they meet those requirements. So if you're thinking about doing something that is in a healthcare facility, we need some time because there's things that we have to prepare, things that we have to check off, things we have to get from you. And there may be a small cost as well for those types of things. And it's no different for exercise science than it is for nursing students or anybody else. So the cost is there. So you have to apply for the experience. So usually what happens is you get to be your advisor goes up, better start thinking about those internships. So then you come and see me and we kind of talk about what your career goals are. And we kind of try to find an internship best we can that kind of supports those career goals and kind of helps move you along the way. Now, things have changed with the pandemic. There's no doubt about it. We used to have a lot of students at the hospital at Ann Carlson, and it's just not really possible right now to do that. But we found other things that are working, and there's always something available for a student. Now, it might not be what you necessarily want, but there is something always available. So we're always able to find something for you. A lot of students, you've probably seen them working with riders, right, in the training room here. So some students like to do it right here on campus because it's convenient. You don't have to go scrape the ice off your car like I had to do this morning, and get somewhere. And so it works out well. And there's valuable experiences to learn here on campus. But remember that you have to apply first. You have to get registered for the class, and there's stuff paperwork you have to fill out. They're actually listed as assignments that are due prior to you starting any experience, because we have to make sure that as employer, like especially healthcare, they have requirements that we have to meet, and so by contract, and so we want to make sure we have everything on our. All right. So we need a resume, we need a cover letter, we need some references, we need to apply. And sometimes the things in your area are listed, sometimes they're not. Sometimes I give you an email saying, email Moya, the manager over at Track. Here's the email. See if he has some openings for you in the fitness area or in their wellness area, that kind of thing. And then make sure you complete that link. And you have to be registered at the time of the experience. That's a really key thing. I'm going to repeat that again. You have to be registered for the class at the time of the experience, or we cannot give you the credit points. And you can't go backwards. You can't say, oh, well, last summer I did this, You have to be registered. Paper has to be filled out before you start. It's just like any class you take, you have to be registered at the time of the class. So these are some of the required coursework things. These 2 things, a field experience to release and an internship agreement, those have to be completed before you get started. And it's 40 hours per credit of an approved experience in addition to the coursework. So those are some key points that you have to cover. All right, thanks. Benefits of an internship. 60% of students in each graduating class since 2013 participated in an internship experience. So more than half of other graduates, every other college have had an internship. So it's obviously it's on their resume. They might be applying for the same positions as you. So it's very, I think it's amazing that your department values these experiences and requires you to have to graduate, because it makes you competitive in this job market, because everybody else basically has had an experience. 70% of employers sometimes will offer their interns full-time job. And I thought this was kind of interesting. Oh, my reference fell off here, but it must be down here. But Facebook gets a median monthly pay of $8,000. So if you can get an internship at Facebook, I think that's pretty good, right? Anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting and entertaining, so I put that on there. Okay, so I just want to talk a little bit about the career events that happen on campus. We are having an etiquette dinner February 16th. We're going to have some graduate school events. We usually do Master of Arts Leadership, Master of Clinical Counseling, PT. We might do the PT school. We'll see kind of how their timing is. They like to do it in the fall, but we might do that. And we advertise those throughout campus. I just put a plug in for the Master in Clinical Counseling. We have a lot of students that get an exercise science major and get a psych minor. Our psych minor is 21 credits. You can get into the Master Clinical Counseling program with 18 credits. So even if you had just an inkling that you may be interested in clinical counseling, get that psych minor with your exercise science or your health and fitness, because you then can go right into the program. We have a career internship fair every fall, and we hope you'll be there. You will be there. It's usually do it homecoming week because our alumni like to come back. Alumni like to hire students, and so they will come set up booth at the fair. And every other year, so this year we're doing the etiquette dinner. Then next spring we will have a health careers event, and that's a large event. We usually have about 160 students attend that event. So we have different speakers in a lot of different areas of healthcare. So that's a great way also to learn more about what their job is like day to day. That's what we ask. We ask them just come tell us about a typical day in their job. How many of you have a LinkedIn profile? Good. A couple of you. Good. You want to tell us what your LinkedIn is? Tell us about LinkedIn.
Mine's mostly like landscaping.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. So it's like a resume, right? It's like an online resume. Yep.
But
Do you have a picture on there?
I don't know.
Don't know?
So they just told me to get one.
Yep.
That's how they keep track of who they employ.
Yeah, yes, no, and it's good to have a LinkedIn, and if you don't have a professional picture, we can arrange that. Logan Adams will take a nice professional picture for you. So it's like an online, I hate to even compare it to Facebook because it's not, but it's a Facebook for professionals. So you can, like, I have 1,500, I probably have 5 friends on Facebook, but I have 1,500 connections on LinkedIn, and it's building your professional network. You can also come organizations or graduate schools that you're thinking about applying to, you can follow, so then you get their news feeds and they can also see that you're following. So it's a good thing to have. So Addie's an expert at LinkedIn, and so if you have trouble creating an account, or if you just want someone to review it, just send it to the careers@uj.edu and some of us will look at it. I also want to talk to you about your social media profile. Particularly want to comment on those entering licensure professions. Maybe you want to do master clinical counseling someday, maybe you want to go to PT school, OT school. Make sure your social put all your privacy settings on. Also be aware of people friends tagging you, because when they tag you, you don't have control over that, and that becomes public. So sometimes we need to just remind our friends that, hey, I want to go to graduate school, so make sure you don't like do something to negatively impact that. So you may even sometimes people will have a friend, you can unfriend them and then have them see what they can find on you. And then if there's some things that they find that aren't appealing, where you've been tagged, you may have to go to those people and say, hey, can you go and tag me? There's no employer or graduate school that's not going to do a little bit of work, due diligence to see what they can find on you. And especially when you're entering a licensed profession, that profession, there's a responsibility to that profession, licensure board. So just, I always say take lots of pictures of family and pets. And if they don't have pets, what can they do?
Our whole department brings our dogs every Friday, $5 a picture.
Yeah. And there's some cute dogs, so. But yeah, no, just kidding, but really, really be aware what, you know, what they're, you're probably a great person, but that's not the impression, you know, the impression that they get is what they see. And it's just, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. So I know of people that struggle to get into graduate school because of something. Yeah, so something that has followed them, so.
All of them, so Facebook, Instagram.
All of them, every one of them.
Whatever else is gonna be out there.
All your random tweets at 2 a.m.
Twitter.
Don't do it,
Yes.
delete them. Yeah.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah. And the problem with deleting is, once it's out there, it's kind of out. I mean, if someone really wants to dig, you know, so, but things do filter down, so like, so just keep putting really positive things on top, and things do filter down, and it's harder for people to access the more that's out there that's positive. So just be aware, you know, it's not, unfortunately, it's the world we live in now. But yes, and that 2 a.m. tweet, if you just have that burning desire to tweet at 2 a.m. Set your alarm, go to bed, set your alarm for 6 a.m. If you still feel like doing it at 6 a.m., go ahead. I have a feeling you may have changed your mind for 6 a.m. So. Okay, I think, is there any more? I'm not sure if we have any more. Yeah, stop anytime. Questions? Okay. Do we have questions about internships? So some of the places, your majors do internships, like I said, I mentioned ones on campus. The boot camp, some are doing internships there, track. Apex PT will sometimes live job shadowing, but they only take one at a time, and depending on their schedule, they don't always have room for somebody. Anytime Fitness out of the mall will take. There are things you can do at the hospital where you can actually get a job that we will take, like a patient access clerk. So you intake a patient, you work with their insurance, you those kinds of things. There's some volunteer positions at the hospital. You can volunteer in the surgical area. So you take patients back. You have patient interaction, you take patients back, you let their families know the progress of their procedure, and then let the families know when you're done procedure and those kinds of things. So those are some great opportunities. I mean, if you think of anything, if you're thinking about going into medicine, dealing with insurances, dealing with patients, those are all great things. So they're always looking for help. No, you're good. Game, you're set. Set. Good. We had parking for our physical education. We had students work in different areas of Park and Rec. Park and Rec is a huge. I actually didn't even realize.
I think they'll be hiring again this summer.
Yes, you'll be hired. Yes. So there's some Park and Rec opportunities working with groups, camps, and those kinds of things. To be very honest, I didn't realize how big Park and Rec, like all the jobs in Park and Rec. Our school got it. I'm on our school board here, and our school got an award with our state Park and Rec, and so I got to go along to the convention to accept the award. I was amazed. Like it's a huge convention. Like it was a big deal. So yeah, I actually just I guess I didn't really think about it too much, but until I got there, I was like, no, I mean there are just a lot of different jobs in Park and Rec. So in North Dakota is small compared to other states, and so Park and Rec's a great area to work in. I was, like I said, I was very impressed. The benefits are fantastic because it's your state government and local government benefits. So retirement, insurance, those kinds of things, which the value of those is going up dramatically. That's another thing we help students with too. Sometimes when students graduate, they get offered 2 jobs. We sit down and help them decipher, you can't just go by salary, because your benefit packages are worth quite a bit as well. Sometimes $25,000 or $30,000 your benefit package. So we sit down and help students kind of go through pros and cons. That happens sometimes. Okay. It's hard to pick.
How would you find your way to managerial positions, like senior
really good
It's like
question.
if you could have leadership.
Absolutely.
but
Yep. Yep.
You also want to go into HFA, exercise science, how would you start there?
Yep, I would get a Master of Arts in Leadership, something like that. But also it's going to be your experiences. So internships, you know, if you kind of know, like if you want to be in Park and Rec, let's say, for example, and you want to be the Park and Rec director, which is a great paying job in a lot of different areas, a lot of different cities. So you would want to get an intern, you would want to start getting some supervisory experience as soon as you can. Or, I mean, and honestly, go work at McDonald's or somewhere like that where you can work yourself into a supervisory position where you're evaluating and managing employees, because that you have to have that supervisory experience to get into management, to get higher up into management. So get some experience with that at the supervisory level. But the quickest way to do that is to get an internship early and start working your way up. Do you want to, where do you want to end up living? Do you know? No?
Warm for a while.
Warm for a while, yeah. So your summer internship might be important too. You might want to identify networking also really helps, like who do you know, Yep, leveraging who do you know, or who you know, who they know. Coach Mistro knows a lot of people, so you leverage, now you make sure he's got a good opinion of you. That's number one. I'm kidding, I'm just teasing. But yeah, but you want to leverage who you know, because it is huge as far as getting jobs and getting your foot in the door and having some of those opportunities. Networking is huge. You definitely, you can't even begin to underestimate. Our alumni want to help you. So if we have alumni in areas, like I have no problem messaging alumni saying, hey, with your permission, obviously, but hey, you have a student that's applying at your company. Just want to let you, I just want to let you know that one of our graduates that I've worked with is applying for your company and my company. So our mentors, we can find an alumni mentor that's in a position that you are looking towards and connect you with that mentor. That never, again, that's an opportunity to never. Good, that was a really good question.
So the internships can be completed at home. We talked a little bit about that, how they could
Yes.
register and do it in the summer.
They can, yep. And again, we have to be aware that if it's in a healthcare facility, and if we don't, and if it's one that requires one of those contracts, if we don't have one of those, if they're called affiliated agreements, if we don't have an affiliated agreement with that facility, it takes a little bit of time because their administration has to look at it, our administration has to look at it, it has to be agreed upon. So sometimes we can't just execute those right away. It takes some time. So like we had a student do one several years ago in Minnesota in a smaller community and it was expiring this week actually. And so the person on campus here, that Mona Cozy that manages them, she connected with me and said, should we keep this one? And I'm like, well, we have a lot of students from Minnesota, on our campus. So let's keep it because you never know. We might have another student that doesn't experience there. But it just takes, like I said, it just takes some time to get those things. Sometimes a few weeks, and when you're talking summer, it's already the middle of June. There's not a lot of time left. So just give us that little time heads up to make sure we have everything in order. But yes, we can do it in other states. And that we used to be really restricted on some states, but we've gotten permission. Because at one point we couldn't do anyone in California at all. We couldn't have any experiences in California. But we've gotten some permissions to be able to, that's relaxed a little bit. So as long as it's just a portion of their major, it's not their full major. So we've got permission. So, but yeah, that's a good question.
Anything else for Heidi?
Where do you find me? Yep. We're here to help. We want to help you. It is our goal that you graduate. That's our goal. And we want to do anything we can do to help you, any support we can provide or resources so that you graduate.
Okay, you guys are good to go. Don't forget about the reflection due Tuesday before class. One paragraph, yep. Who's here, what they talked about, where to find them, internship credit.